It is now 3:30 p.m. on November 13th, 2024, and so I'm going to call to order, pardon me, the Sumner County Library Trustee Board meeting. We're going to call to order and start off with a roll call, please.
Erica Grammer. Jackie Wilson.
Jim Holcomb.
Kaylee Wilson. Shannon Bresdor.
Mike Bryan.
And Joanna Daniels. And we also have Steve Weiner joining us at the request of Commissioner Bresdor. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to start off with the invocation. And Erica, would you like to start off with the invocation?
Let's pray. Lord Jesus, thank you so much for today, and thank you for this time that we have together to serve the public. And Lord, I thank you for each of the libraries that serve our community. Lord, I pray that you will give us wisdom and clarity and clear conversation today as we go over the agenda that is before us. And we just pray to lift you high and through all of us. In your name, amen.
Amen. All right. So now we're going to move on to approval of the agenda. Everyone received the agenda, and so I will entertain a motion to approve. I would like to delete did you take it all? No. Donation, 7I, donation to Hendersonville Library. And reasoning for that? The county commission has not accepted those funds. Okay. My intention for this is just simply for an informational meeting, so that it's on record that there is that. And so it's on the budget committee agenda. It is in record with the county commission. And considering it's going to be a very long meeting, I think it would be better to have it removed for time's sake. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Okay.
Motion does not pass as stated on the agenda. All right, so I will now entertain a motion to approve the agenda as it is.
So moved.
Jim?
Second.
Okay, second by Mike. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No. Any abstentions? Okay. All right. I'm going to move on to the approval of minutes. You have the September 18th minutes before you. I would like to make a correction. Okay. 670, my last name is misspelled. I don't normally notice that, but so it's probably me, sorry. Oh, I'm not worried about it. My mother can't spell my name, but apparently. And where is this at? I'm sorry? 7D.
Second paragraph. Fourth line.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Okay, so entertain a motion to adopt the minutes as corrected.
So moved.
Jim, do you have a second? Second. I'm sorry, who said that?
Kaylee.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Next, we'll move on to the recognition of the public. No? All right. No one signed up to talk. All right, and now we're going to move on to the report of the chairman. I wanted to something really quickly here. Give me 1 second. I had so much I had to print off that I literally could not print it off all. So, I wanted to, oh, hello. Just wanted to recognize that Eric Sipper did walk in. And wanted to recognize Mr. Sitlick, the law director. Okay. I wanted to, within the evaluation, there was a lot of talk about the collection and development policies. And the chairman, I just wanted to make sure that to put this on the record. And there's a lot of misconceptions in the past year about our collection and development policy. And this letter is actually a public record, but I wanted to read a little bit about it. The misconceptions of the new policy. There's been a lot of misconceptions, hype, and falsehoods around the new collection and development policy. This policy was created and has specific verbiage that had to be added in order to comply with Tennessee state requirements. These requirements had to be met in order to receive state and federal funds for the library. Banning book misconceptions. There is absolutely no banning books in this policy. It is simply creating a new placement for books that may be harmful to children as defined in the policy. Adults will have access to these books, and parents can share them with their children if they feel led to do so. The library should not be the get-around for minors to have access to things their parents or the state would otherwise not allow. We cannot fit every book published in our library, and so we have to set a standard for what to bring in. This is what we have done, banning is simply a trigger word, and it's not happening here. Art books misconceptions. Art books are safe and are available in the library. Educational books on sex. All adults will have access to these books. If they wish for their children to access them, then they can get them for their children. Parents have the right to decide when their child is educated about sex education in public schools, and parents will have the same. Targeting special interest groups. Absolutely nothing in this policy targets any special interest group. There's no group even named in the policy. Parents have to escort their children around the library. This is a falsehood and a complete misrepresentation of the policy. This policy does not require, recommend, or suggest a permission slip and was never the intent. The policy instructs the library directors to make the library safe for all ages. If there are any books in the library collection that may be harmful to children as defined in the policy, there are steps in the policy that the library director can take to ensure that minors don't have access to these materials. This is the responsibility of the library director and should not be passed on to the public. This has been addressed. And then I just wanted to, and library directors will be stressed. I have personally spoken with library directors from Portland, Westmoreland, Hendersonville, and Millersville. At this time, I have not been able to get into an appointment with Gallatin. Everyone that I have spoken to has said that there has been no issues with the new policy. So I just wanted to make sure that to put that, and so that it's clear, because during the evaluations it was asked how the collection and development policy was being implemented and if there was any problems. And that was sent to the full commission from me earlier this year. So I just wanted to be sure that that was noted in our minutes. So, and also, lastly, when we had asked for the libraries to stop giving out donations or selling books in their libraries, that was because there was a possibility that we were out of compliance with a resolution, and that has been since resolved since September. And it's kind of like if you're somewhere and you hear the fire alarm going off, you immediately call the fire department. Now the fire department there might be a fire and there might not be a fire, but you call the fire department in case, and then you go looking for the fire. That's what we did. We just simply said, hey, you know what, there's a problem, we're gonna look for the problem. In the meantime, we need you to stop, you know, and to call in the big guns. So we did that. We found out that, that the library books are separate and are in compliance. So at no point in time did we want to, or was it our intention to inhibit or cause anybody to fear for their job with anything that we had said. It was just simply us trying to be in compliance and to not be out of compliance. So with that, I will conclude the report of the chairman. All right, so now we're going to move on to the new business. This is the letter to accompany MOE for 2024-2025. Wanted to give you a quick little update on that. Me and Cecilia have had fun with this MOE letter, haven't we? The MOE, I had given it to State, and then she asked for something and thought there was an accounting error. Well, it was incorrect, but then I found I have an accounting error. And so right now, I have the signatures of every mayor except for Millersville and the city manager of Millersville. But it's okay because we have to accompany it with a letter because there's a deficit that wasn't used. So I just wanted to show you all the MOE letter that would be accompanying Cecilia, and I did speak with her today. So I'm gonna try to get it on Sumner County letterhead and then get it in ASAP.
Yeah, so I think so the documents that you send should be like an attachment to the letter.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to be as detailed as you are, that's the truth.
Okay. Yeah, you know, and what I did is I asked the library directors, you know, to give me information, and so I just figured, I like information, the more the better, right? So, but okay, so I just wanted to let everybody know where that's at, and does anybody have any questions on the MOE letter? No? Okay. It was just more for information before I go into see it. Okay? All right. Next, we're going to go on to the notary services policy. Everyone should have a copy of the notary service policy that came out of policies and bylaws. So I will entertain a motion to open up for discussion.
So moved.
Jim, do you have a second?
Second.
Mike, all in favor, say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? And any abstentions? Okay. This notary service, the reason it is being looked at is because Amy from Millersville had requested for a notary service, and in that finding out, we found out that they were actually doing it at Westmoreland, but we had no policy in place to actually supervise the notary services. And so this is where we came in and we kind of married two from Stokes, Brown, and from Nashville, and then kind of did some other research. And so does anybody have any questions about this? And we did, Lauren asked that we have this done by November, so because we've stopped it, so we're here.
This is the one that came out of the policy committee.
Correct.
Yeah.
Looks good.
Jen, please.
I'm sorry.
No, that's good. Wondering if you check with the director, see if there's anything.
Sure.
Yeah.
Would you move to suspend the rules?
I would move to suspend said rules.
Okay,
Yeah.
and do I have a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, Jackie, all in favor say aye.
Uh-huh.
Okay, anybody opposed?
Directors, any issues?
We talked about, and I may not be reading it right, about who pays for people to get certified. Like, I know right now, they talked about each individual paying for it, but is this something that at some point in the future, we could pay for them to get the certificate at their own expense? Never mind,
Yeah.
I'm finishing. Just kidding.
And it really is just a liability, it's that liability
Yeah.
factor, so it just helps keep that real focused.
All right, so I'll move us back into session.
Back in session.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, so if there are no questions, I'll entertain a motion to accept the notary services policy. So moved. Haley,
Second.
Mike, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. All right, now we're going to move on to the collection and development policy. There was just a few, changes here as far as how to, dispose of leaving or donations. And, so I will entertain a motion to open up for discussion.
So moved.
Yeah.
All right. I'm waiting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Erica, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. As you can see, the only changes, they are in yellow, they're on page 5 and page 8. And when I went to type this up, just so you know, Word document wanted me to put of at the end. So you might want to have a conversation with Word.
I'm on it.
So, all right. That was the only change. All right. There are no questions, no, what, you look like you're about to say.
Nope.
Okay.
I also moved that.
All right, if there's no questions or concerns, I'll entertain a motion, to adopt the collection and development policy as amended. So moved. So moved was Mike, do I have a second? Second. Haley, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Library director evaluation policy. All right, so I will entertain a motion to open up the library director evaluation policy for discussion.
So moved.
Jim,
Nobody else? Second.
second. Mike, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. The only thing, I apologize, as reading this again. How many documents? Under communication tools, it says the chair of the personnel committee will be sure to get the finish, and I think we actually said we'll be sure to provide the finish.
We'll be provided.
Yes.
Something like that. We'll be provided.
Actually, I have. So we'll provide
that again.
Since we'll
I
provide.
apologize.
That's right.
Did you say Jackie?
Say that again.
Give me 1 second, let me get.
Will provide.
Yeah, we'll provide the finished
We'll
self-survey.
provide the finished project, finished self-survey.
Yeah, we'll provide the finished self-survey, yep. Will provide. Okay, so the chair of the personnel committee will provide the finished self-survey to the personnel committee members before the set evaluation date for the library director. That's the only thing that unfortunately, so. Okay, so.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Because I, for some reason, I think I must have left policy in my office, but, I was just wondering, so we had talked about it a little bit about the different steps, and, does the evaluation form, does that go out to all the board members for this policy right now?
Yep. Everybody has a copy of it.
Just goes it out and just to
No,
you?
no, we don't do that. So,
Okay.
so what happens is that, and again, you know, this was created a year ago, and, as you said, there's no set policy for anything. So what happens right now is that the personnel committee, sits with the director and goes through the, you know, the whole evaluation. You put 5, 4s, 3s, 2s, 1s. And then after that, what results for that are sent to all of the board members. And then this is where we decide the final. So in the library board meeting, that's when we can say, yeah, I kind of want to do this or to do this. And we just accept or amend. Make sense?
Yeah, it does. It's just kind of the other way around. And we normally see usually all the information is with the board chair or the committee chair before the meeting with the library.
Well, and when we were creating this, you know, this is why we're also changing it, so that now it's actually going to be one-on-one.
Yeah.
And then they bring the findings to the committee, to the personnel committee. And, you know, I saw so many different policies.
Yeah.
It's
No,
like my brain
yeah,
is about to explode.
I just want to make sure that everyone has, because like we talked about earlier today, usually every board member will sit down and, you know, fill it out, give it to you or to whoever, and then you will kind of summarize based on all that feedback before you have a meeting with the director. I just want to make sure that,
Well, and when you say usually, as you stated, there's no standard.
there's no, just the majority in my region, I think, is basically what I'm saying.
Okay.
But it sounds like, so you already have the meetings with the directors, and today you're kind of just going to discuss it with the entire board.
Yes,
Yeah.
and we come to yes. Yeah, and we did put this evaluation policy in November of last year.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I just want to,
yeah.
if you're discussing it today, I just want to make sure that I have it right.
Yep. Yep. Okay. So,
They do also have a self-evaluation that
Yeah,
they
I
get to
know.
answer, and
Yeah.
it doesn't, count. It's just it's a tool so
Yeah.
that we can have great, you know,
Yeah.
it allows
And-
conversation and seeing.
Yeah, and I think that's great, because it's hard for everyone, for the board members to know exactly what they're doing, by the way, for them to say, oh, we did all of this stuff.
Yeah.
You might not remember, yeah.
and just to clarify, in the meeting, if you bring it and you say, you know what, if you can go and, anybody here can go and sit down with the library director before an evaluation and talk to them. And in that meeting, if they come and say, you know what, I prefer to get a 5 or a 3, that's in the personnel meeting, that's when that decides. Because what comes out of the personnel meeting is what then taken to the board for exception. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I have a
So if best practice, and I did some research, best practice in other states, is that the full board takes the evaluation, they do the scores, they submit it to the chairman of the personnel committee, and then they have the one-on-one with, so the full board is involved in the evaluation as the first step in the best practices in other states. And I would like to see that. I think all of us have interactions with our librarians, and I think our voices should be part of the initial culling of information for the one-on-one. I would like to see that. All the board members, because we all have interactions with the staff, we are all trustees on this board. So that it doesn't just come at the end, it comes at the beginning. So you have the full picture of all board members. I think we all work equally hard. And we all support our librarians equally.
And I think that that's, and I hear where you're coming from. And I also, you know, in September and talking and everything, there's no set anything.
But we can create the policy and we can change it to make it so that all library trustees are part of the initial process.
And so what we have it is right now is that, you know, we can, you know, talk about it after the evaluation happens. And you're welcome to change it. I mean, what comes from the personnel committee isn't anything that can't be changed. But, you know, that's my thought, is that, you know.
Is personnel willing to take up that matter? I'm not on personnel.
Well, and I'm not answering that question, but I am. One of my thoughts is this, is that, I mean, I hear what you're saying, and that's the first time we've heard that suggestion from her. We have gotten to talk about different options, because there are so many different ways, and because there's not a standard, it's about seeing what, and just trying to find a way, because there's lots of a ways, and this is just the way that we, you know, that we had settled on. And but here's where my thoughts would come in. I mean, when we have our committee meetings, those are just the things that are specialized that we're focusing on. Just like we don't do a maintenance, like not all of us do a maintenance evaluation. We trust, you know, the people who are on that committee. Personnel is about personnel. That would just be where my thought. I don't do budget. I don't go and I happen to not be on the budget committee, so like I wouldn't think, though I'm involved with, and I wouldn't think to be involved in the budget committee part. Now, when it comes here, I might ask questions, or I might be involved with it here. So for me, that seems like why do we have a personnel committee that is concentrated on personnel if we're asking the whole board to do that portion? That's where my thoughts go. I mean, like, that's where I come from on that. Because we do each have different personalities, and we do have different relationships with the different directors, and we get to see them differently and in different places and times. But I think that the way that I see the evaluation, I think that the way that it's coming into place, I think that is fair. And then if we have other insights, having had different interactions, we can bring that, when the evaluation is brought here, we can bring it up here at the board meeting, is what I would suggest.
I think I would lean a little bit toward that as well, just because of time, mostly, you know, because it would be hard for all of us to be responsible for going and meeting with all the library board directors at certain times during the year when they're getting evaluated, and have all that submitted before they had an evaluation. That's just seems like to me that would be, maybe make it a little cumbersome to get all of those boxes checked before the evaluation starts.
Right, and questions that, the board may have, which I can go ahead and answer versus saying, well, we're gonna have to talk to the director first to find
Right.
out, and then have to come back and do all that. So it's like, we've done all the hard work, then we bring it all to the board.
I see what you're saying. I mean, I agree in principle with what you're saying, because I think all of us being involved would be great. I think there might be a little bit of a snafu there with trying to get all of those things done each time somebody's being evaluated.
And one of the things that Cecilia, that you had said was that we kind of, most of your regions only have one library or two, we have 5.
Right.
And, I know, although we did vote to have the library board capped at 9, I don't know if that's gonna happen or not. So then, if we do stay at 11, that's 11 board members now that are gonna have to, we're gonna have to go get evaluations from before we can even have a conversation with a director. But,
I don't imagine it requires that everyone participate. It's that there is the option for all board members to participate.
and you're participating when we bring it to the board,
With
to talk.
with maybe a 2 to 3 week time span, whereas we know their evaluations are coming up. So we would have time to do it ahead of time for those of us who have time to visit all of the libraries. And some of us visit other libraries more than another. I don't know that every board member would need to weigh in on every single evaluation. And I think it's a great idea that all the boards, we all have to vote on their evaluations. And rather than have it all happen at the end, the board members should have input at the beginning. All the board members should have that option. And if it's too many to look at 9 or 11, I don't know how you could say that. These are their evaluations. And personnel should be able to look at 11 evaluations, or maybe 9 or 8, and average the total.
Well, nothing in this evaluation policy, it doesn't
seat at the
prohibit you.
table.
Nothing in this evaluation policy prohibits you from emailing the personnel committee chair about something that you wish to have discussed with the director at their one-on-one. And nothing prohibits anybody on this board, is there's an evaluation coming up, and you can email the chair and say, hey, you know what, on this evaluation form, can you please check this or look at this? And again, when we come to vote it, to accept it or deny it or amend it, you have a full voice then too. So, yes, Jackie.
In November of 2023, when we were putting this together, I remember that as we were doing this, Stephen was with us, and he said, why don't you ask them? So, and I think we've allowed them to have some input, but do they have a preference on, because if we're writing the policy and the sky's the limit, their input is as important as what we decide, because we're not in their shoes.
Any thoughts on that?
So I'm all about fairness, and I want to make sure that each of them are represented well and thoroughly. But I've never worked at a job where people have asked me how I want to be evaluated. It's part of a process of who is responsible for that. In no way am I happen to be on the personnel committee, so in no way am I trying to hold that any kind of control. But for me, it seems like that has to be somebody's, it's the personnel committee's responsibility to oversee that. They're the ones that happens to be their responsibility just like each of the 4 committees have their responsibilities. It's so that we're not having to double and triple work. It is so that those people who are committed to that committee does the job. And then we have the freedom to weigh in. We can weigh in early when we know something, when we know an evaluation is coming up. That is a wonderful time for us to be able to write in and say, hey, these are the things that I've seen that they've done well, and this is the thing, these are the things that some interactions I've had. I would, I know as part of the personnel, I would love to hear those, if there's something you, like accolades or even struggles, those are things that are important to come to personnel, but then let personnel do the responsibility of actually doing the evaluation. And like I said, I'm not trying to be, I don't want to hear your opinion or anything, but I've just never been asked how my boss wants to evaluate me, how I want my boss to evaluate me. And so I think it's about establishing something that is fair and doing it and letting the personnel do their job. And we can echo in anytime we want to, or on the front side, on the back side. It gets finished right here. We are the ones who, the board ends up being the ones who okay this whole thing. So, those are my thoughts.
Jackie or Shannon, do you have an amendment that you propose?
I would like to make an amendment that the whole board be able to score at the beginning before the one-on-one takes place. And that would be my amendment.
And where would you amend to have that put up?
Where personnel does your evaluation.
The evaluation process?
Yes. So the library director evaluation will be conducted. This evaluation. So the paper evaluation, the scores, that those be done by the whole board, or be collected, have a board meeting, the whole board meet, and turn in and parse that evaluation, and then the chair, or the one-on-one takes place after that.
And one thing you said a minute ago, that there could be the option of that.
Yes, not everyone would be required, but it
Right,
would be
that might be a better wording,
So-
is to add the word option, so that if we could all participate in that, that would be fine. But if for some reason all of us couldn't before the evaluation, that there would be the option.
If you wanted to opt out, you could. If you did not want to fill out the form, that's possible. And that would go to Jim as a...
This is a proposed amendment, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, do I have a second on the proposed amendment?
I'll second it, just get it on the table and talk about it.
Okay. Well, she's
Yeah,
proposing
okay.
amendment, okay? All in favor?
Well, do we do discussion first? I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought we already did, but go ahead.
Well, I
Yeah,
think
sure.
discussion
Go
on the
right
amendment.
ahead.
I'm not sure evaluations by committee are wise, given what we're dealing with currently. I think we have a personnel committee. They have a process in place. I think this seeks to circumvent the work of the personnel committee. I'd be against it.
How is it
I agree.
I said what I said.
Okay. All right. I personally feel that it should just be with personnel, and again, people can chime in at any time. That's my opinion. But, okay. So, all in favor of the amendment, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Nay.
Okay.
Nay.
Any abstentions? Amendment does not pass. All right, so then, any other discussion on the library director evaluation policy?
I do. With the one-on-one meeting,
how, I guess we just have to trust that we don't have an HR department, the librarian will not have a representative. She's a county employee. How do you all feel about that? Because we just have to trust that the one-on-one and conducted, who's taking the minutes.
Well, as I asked, it does not violate any sunshine laws, minutes don't need to be taken. And again, nothing that, this evaluation that comes from the one-on-one has to go to the personnel committee. It has to be voted on, it has to be vetted, what comes from the one-on-one isn't necessarily what is going to come to the board or is going to be the final evaluation. That is their findings to have it one-on-one. And then it goes to the board to be voted on. So, to my knowledge, and I've asked this of Cecilia, and I've asked this numerous times, one-on-one does not break any sunshine laws.
Not just specific to sunshine, but to representation.
Again, nothing can happen in this one-on-one. There's no vote, there's no deliberation, there's no action that can be taken with this one-on-one.
So what I like about, I like the fact that there's more privacy. I mean, we've had lots of conversation around this, especially October, November, because of the evaluation. We do prefer the privacy factor, but I like there's a lot of checks and balance. I mean, there's a signature at the end where each library director will sign it or not. If they feel like it's a misrepresentation, they don't have to sign it. And then it still comes to personnel. It's still got to clear the personnel. If personnel feels like it's being being a misrepresentation, then personnel has a chance to stop it there. It could be requested for it to be redone if it felt unfair. And then it still comes to the board after that. So to me, I think there's a lot of checks and balance in that, so that if the individual feels misrepresented, they can stop it, and then there's...
That's not in the evaluation process, that they can ask for a second.
No, I'm saying, like, if personnel felt like it was, if they don't sign it, then we're going to have to talk about it, because it's not, you know, like, there's a signature that happens that where they say, yes, this was me, and we were here, and we did do this, and so I'm just saying it's part of the process. It's on the actual paperwork. So it can't just clear itself. It's got to come through the person, the personnel, and board. So there is a check and balance.
Can I ask a little bit? Because and again, I am so sorry, I'm having so very frustrating. I wish I could just grab it. But so the one-on-one meeting, at what time? When does that happen? Does it happen?
That's part of the changes.
Yeah. Okay. So because I want to make sure, because I'm
on the second page.
Okay. So it happens before, or after the personnel committee?
Before.
Okay. But so what is it based on if it's not coming from the personnel committee?
On the evaluation form.
It says, where is it? So you get all the forms in, and they are filled out by the personnel committee. Is that?
No.
So what is the meeting? So so I'm sorry.
So the process is,
yeah,
according to that paperwork.
Yeah.
The library director fills out a evaluation so that it's a talking tool. Lets us know where they see themselves and where they can bring up things. And then the chair of what's in front of us, the revised version here, the chair of the personnel assigns someone to meet with them. They have a one-on-one. That finished thing comes to the personnel meeting. And then the personnel can vote to push it on to the board.
I think in my mind, and I know I'm not on the board, I'm just kind of saying, this is, best practices that I like to talk about. And I think it would be a good idea for if it's the entire board, like you just decided not to do, but at least the committee, all that information is with whoever is having that one-on-one meeting. So that would be kind of the gist of that meeting. So it's not happening after the fact. That would be, for me, it's just going the other way around.
So what I'm hearing you say, and correct me if I'm wrong, is you feel the personnel committee should fill out the library director evaluation, that we have. Send that to the personnel committee chair. All right, and then the chair sits down one-on-one and talks to the director with all the concerns that have been brought about with the personnel committee. And then after that is done, then brings it back to the personnel committee to accept the evaluation.
So I could tell you kind of in my mind, I know you just voted against it, but in my just kind of best practices, what I would normally recommend would be that everyone has their say. That goes to the board chair or to the personnel chair to kind of summarize, okay, well, he thinks that, she thinks that, you know, this is kind of the number that you all agree on, average. And then have kind of a one-on-one meeting with the library director based on that. And then that will go to the full board. It's kind of like, this is what we talked about, this is for you guys, set new evaluation forms, this is kind of the goal for this exercise. That would be my.
So then, what you're saying is, and I think what I get what you're saying is that the 5 people personnel would send the evaluation, what they feel are the strengths and the weaknesses of the director. Then the chair would come up with that information and then would take it to the one-on-one. And then direct it.
I mean, that's normally how, and I know you're different with your title use, but if there was one library, the board members will all fill out the forms. It will go to the board chair. The board chair will kind of make a summary based on what all of the board members are saying. We'll have a one-on-one discussion, bring it back to the board and just say, this is what we talked about.
Stop. Again, I don't, at no point in time does it say that, you know, when we know the evaluation is happening, everyone in the personnel committee can email the personnel chair or the person, or from the board saying, hey, I had this situation, this and that, and then that can all be gathered and taken to that. So I think that, you know, that's something that's already done. So, okay, all right, well.
I have one more question, the document storage. It says, the completed library director evaluation shall be kept in the personnel file of the individual library director. The files are to be maintained by the chairman of the library board of trustees. So again, and I saw the meeting that you all had, where you discussed it, and you said since we have no HR department, you weren't sure where they should be. And I talked to the finance director, he recommended it be in finance, but personnel, evaluations need to be somewhere that is with their hiring stuff, with their documents. So a paper copy needs to be in the finance department with theirs.
So that was simply a rewrite to, originally it said the files are kept with the Sumner County personnel records.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where and you saw it, so like you heard our conversation, and we're just trying to find a safe place for it because.
Right, but I don't think the chairman of the library board of trustees is necessarily a safe place because it's, even though it's public
If that's
information,
the only copy,
private, yes.
needs to have another
The
copy
official
where
copy needs
their
to
personnel
be
records are.
Is there
in
a
this
place?
building.
Is there a place here?
Finance says, yes.
Finance has,
Finance is the one who.
Yeah.
That's.
so.
Yeah, you're throwing out finance like we've just been sitting on the information. Having great information at any point.
Yeah, it would have
deliberations.
been great information to be emailed to us before the board meeting.
Yes, because
Yeah, that would have been
we want it in a
wonderful.
safe place. I mean, like, that is the thing. We want to make sure there is a file where there's safe, where the
And where it's
information is
supposed to be
safe.
properly,
Right,
where the
together.
proper place for
That
it.
is our heart.
Yes,
Madam Chair, to be clear, there have been no keeping of records prior to this?
There were records and they were with the HR person because when I signed off on things, they went to her and they went in a file.
But-
So when they did away with the HR department, then
Right.
I don't know how they dispersed those files, but they did disperse those files.
Okay. And when we were discussing this, nobody, and you are on the personnel committee, had no idea where the records
I wasn't sure where they went.
Okay.
Stephen told us last week that he thought they were in finance, and I think Shannon did her homework this week and found out that's where they were.
So Stephen told who?
I asked Stephen last week after it was over, not during our meeting.
Oh,
Just after it was
Be
over,
walking out of the building.
as we were walking
Okay.
out.
Yeah.
Not as an official thing, I just asked as a question.
Okay.
And, he said, I believe they're in finance. And that makes sense because that's where most of
Great.
the things that they have to fill out goes to finance.
Well, that's great,
Yeah.
and, you know, it would have been great to know that going into this meeting, you know, so any communication would have been great, so, because again, we didn't know where they were at, so.
And I did not,
So, the
I
file-
glanced at that, but that didn't hit me until
Sure.
it was brought to my attention.
So the files are to be maintained by finance. Go ahead, Jim.
I would say, maybe the original wet signature goes to finance, but a copy also be retained by the chairman of the library board of trustees.
Okay. So, so then.
The official file,
Original copy
The original.
original,
of the original.
So when the chairman of the library board is no longer the chairman, does he just hand over the golden briefcase to the new chairman?
Well, hopefully.
Yeah.
In the
I
day
want-
and age,
I want to
maybe
see
it's
it.
a magic thumb drive, but
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, there should be some sort
Original
of legacy
copy.
planning. And if not, wait for it, there are backups in the finance
yeah, I mean,
files.
and a lot of the records are posted, a lot of things we do are posted where you can go back and look for them.
Should we put the original copy to be maintained in finance or?
Yes.
Leave it at finance.
Yes.
I don't want it to change. I mean, go ahead.
Finance department, yes.
We may have to change it if we hire an HR director, but right now it's
Okay.
finance.
And then, the original copy.
Specifically their personnel file at finance, says county law director.
Maintained in the personnel file, maintained, the original copy to be maintained in the personnel file in the finance department, correct? Is that what I'm saying? Finance department, and then a copy to be, Jim, a copy to be
Retained by the library, by the chairman of the library board of trustees.
by the chairman of the library. Okay. All right, so the completed library director evaluation shall be kept in the personnel file of the individual library director. Is that where we want finance, or, because then sorry guys. The completed library director evaluation shall be kept in the personnel file of the individual library director, in the finance department. Maybe a copy of the
In the
completed.
personnel file. And you might need to put
Okay.
original near the front of that, where it says completed, the
Okay.
the original.
The original completed, library director evaluation should be kept in the personnel file of the individual, maintained in the finance department?
Yes.
Maintained in the finance department.
Mm-hmm.
In finance department, okay? And then, a copy to be retained by the chairman of the library board of trustees. Okay? All right, so, do I have a motion to amend the document storage as said?
So moved.
Okay, Mike, Jackie, second, all in favor say aye. Anybody opposed? Any abstentions?
I do have it. Actually, I have.
Motion carried.
Motion carried, yes, correct. All right, any other discussion on the library director evaluation policy before we move to adopt it?
Yes,
as
when
amended?
will it go into effect? January 1st.
I would think immediately.
So
Can
we
you
have
type
one
it?
director left who has
Can you
not
type
had a
it?
review.
Would you say?
When you type it.
When I type it. I apologize.
We have one library director left to have her review,
Correct.
and she will get a totally different review.
Sure. The process will be a little different, but the questions and the standards will be the same.
Is that fair?
Well, I think it's in direct response to people saying that the previous process was unfair and humiliating.
That has to change at some point, so, you know.
I guess we either want to continue with the alleged unfair and humiliating treatment, or we move on with the newly adopted policy.
Why do you think it was unfair?
Well, I mean, that's what some people have said.
It is
With some
what some people have said. They've also said that without having it public, they feel that it would be much worse. They felt that it was very antagonistic. I have lots of phone calls from constituents about it, taxpayers, patrons of the library.
Sure.
So would it not be, it's almost discriminatory to change the process at this point?
Yeah, I think the loaded language of discrimination is unwarranted and not necessarily accurate. I think you have a consistent standard by which the director is being evaluated. There will be an opportunity for public comment and hearing when it's accepted by the board. So I don't think anybody's missing out on that opportunity. Everybody can come and speak on behalf of the director as much as they'd like. So.
Even at the personnel committee meeting where it's presented, correct? I mean, isn't that
Yeah.
another?
Opportunity for public comment there as well.
So it's the same opportunities, it's just going to be a different process in how who's writing down the numbers for evaluation.
I would ask, does this fit our county?
I just want
Added, yeah.
I just want to make sure I understand before I answer the question what's being asked. So we have the current policy, which all except for one have been evaluated under.
Right.
And then once this new policy comes into effect, the remaining person will be evaluated under that policy.
Yes.
I think
we need to have an executive session if you're gonna ask us any more questions on this.
Okay. So, I'm in a motion for executive session.
So moved.
Okay, so a second? Second. Shannon, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, any abstentions? All right, so, do you want to go into the room? Okay.
So the gallery.
All right, so I will call us back into, the meeting, and everything's back on?
Mhm.
Okay, all right, so, call us back into the meeting, out of executive session.
Make a motion to accept the bylaws and the amendments and make them effective Jan 1, 2025.
The policy.
The policy,
Okay,
sorry.
okay.
Second.
So just to clarify, we are accepting the policy as amended and to go into effect, January 1st?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And to clarify, yes, your motion, but to add to that for the public, that the fifth librarian will have their evaluation in the same manner.
Well, yes, if it doesn't go into effect until January 1st, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, do I have a second?
Second.
By Mike, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? An abstention? Abstention? Okay. All right. Where's the key? All right, Okay.
This way we can have a restroom break for a moment.
Did you move for a restroom?
Yes.
Okay. Second, all fair say aye.
Aye.
Yeah, 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Okay. All right, so now moving on to hours for Millersville. Amy Corbett had sent us some hours that she was wanting to do for the library, and I did contact Cecilia about this, and this is something that needs board approval and needs for the board to discuss and decide on. So I will open this up for discussion. Can you take a motion to open this up for discussion?
So moved.
Jackie? Second by
Bergdorf.
Bergdorf, okay. She had a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. I did email Amy and ask her for any supporting documents, and I have not received anything. If you would like to.
Are you sure you didn't? We all received an
Here
email.
they are.
Oh, did you? So
Yeah.
you didn't receive it. Okay. Thank you. Hey, again,
And I
emails
think
get
yeah.
good ones.
And I'm not sure if it's all there. I think I ran out of paper. And it quit printing, and I thought I was through, and it wasn't. But there's a good meat there.
Okay, good. And again, things that Outlook does get overlooked, and that's why.
It's also all in your packet.
Oh.
Thank you. Oh, that's right. So, all right, so, I'd like to, we can discuss this, and, there's been so much I did off in the last couple hours, it's been absolutely insane. So open it up for discussion. I have a motion to open it up for discussion.
We did.
Oh, we did?
It's on the floor.
Okay.
Being a person from Millersville,
Mm-hmm.
I can say I'm in full support of it. I don't know if it's like how this works, but every time I want to go is on the day you're off on Thursday. So I would actually absolutely love this change.
I'm in agreement.
Call the question? Yes, call for a vote. Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. All right, moving on. The Westmoreland LTC grant. This has already gone before the commission. I did ask Lauren in the future to be sure to send, stuff to us so we can review it before it goes to the commission.
May I ask why she has to do that?
So it's something that, we as a board, we are supposed to look at grants, and actually we are the go-between between the board and the commission, and it's something that we're supposed to review first and make sure that it is actually something that would be, good for the library, would be something that we feel is appropriate, and again, would be something to move on to commission. So,
Onto budget.
correct, on to
So
budget.
the public knows for the record that, any grants that are applied for must be, approved by the budget committee on county commission. And when we pass it through the full commission, it's then voted on at the floor of the full commission. When the grant monies come back, the commission votes to accept that money as well.
Madam Chair, are we in discussion?
I didn't think we were.
No, okay.
I'm sorry.
And so I will open this up, motion.
I'll make a motion that we discuss it.
Okay, Jackie?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. So, again, the role of the library board is to oversee anything and everything that goes on with the libraries. We are to be, look over any grants, any budget moves, anything is supposed to come to us first, and then we are to move it and vote on it, and it is to go on. So with this grant, it has already been approved. Does anybody have any questions or thoughts or discussion? Or just motion to approve it?
I think it's perfunctory at this point, yeah. Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No, any abstentions? Okay, great. Okay, the next is a, DMV kiosk. So I will make a motion to open this up for, discussion.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Mike, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? So this is a new driver services self-service kiosk. This is the Department of Homeland Security, driver services, and I'm just gonna say right off that I would say no to this. I don't believe that this is something that, really needs to go into a library, as it is right now. I don't feel that this is, we're gonna have to find an area for it, and, that's just my opinion, but go ahead. Yeah.
I went to Millersville Library yesterday or the day before. I don't remember, it's from off the book. And, she showed me the spaces that she wanted it, and I don't love it either because she's so crunched for space. She expressed to me that she does not have, it's still in the approval stage. They haven't even come to look at her library. And there's also one at the Gillespie Library, which isn't that far away from the Millersville location. And I think there's one at the City Hall in White House. So I don't feel like this is something that necessarily benefits the community.
The motion for discussion? Not ready to.
Yeah, it's on the
Motion
floor.
for discussion?
For this, I don't think so.
Oh, okay, she told me to.
We did?
Yeah, we did. That's what I thought we did.
That's a very beginning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Keeping us accountable.
So I'm not for it either.
Okay.
But mostly because of the space issue. If there were no other kiosks nearby, that would be different.
Can we suspend the rules? Anita has something to contribute. I make a motion to suspend the rules to recognize Anita.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Would this be for all locations or just specifically Millersville?
All
We would like to have one in Portland also. We are a fair distance from the county seat. We do not have any of these kiosks anywhere in Portland. It would be a very good benefit for the people of Portland. I do have the area, I have a computer area and everything that we are going to be taking computers out of, so I have a perfect spot for it.
Have you already had yours up yet?
Not yet, I'm on the waiting list to have someone come out. Yeah.
I would motion that we, discuss this at a separate meeting.
So can we table it for now?
Well, first,
And bring it up?
we're not back in session yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I move to call us back in session.
Okay. Okay. Say aye.
Aye.
Can we table it then? Since she's on the waiting list and we don't know when that'll happen, table it and bring it up when we need to.
Jim, you look like you're trying to say something.
Well, the proposal that we're looking at tonight is from Millersville, right?
No,
Or is it just for all of them?
This is all because
Like, okay.
Gallatin has done it, has sent us
Got
a thing as well.
Sorry.
No,
I saw Amy's email with,
sure.
got it.
And since all the libraries are done at the library thing, I think
it has to be.
okay, we can assess it based on the need.
So if we table it as needed.
Sure. I personally don't feel that this is a necessary thing in the library at this time.
Cool.
I would motion we move it to old business.
So,
I'll second that.
so a motion's been made for old business, seconded, and then that means we won't talk about it till January.
So that means that nobody can put any kiosks
That's right.
in a library until we reach this stuff. Okay, all right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, move to old business. Okay. Now we're gonna move on to library fundraisers. So, wanted to, motion for discussion of library fundraisers.
So moved.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. So this is about library fundraisers. As you know, there's, something brought up as a concern, about a library fundraiser, and my question here is, I don't know, and I brought the I don't know of any policy that we have in place that even talks about what type of fundraisers, what can be done in the library. Okay, here we go. And, you know, I don't know of anything. I looked through these and maybe I could be missing it because there's nothing that I saw. And so my thing is how do we regulate the fundraisers that are happening in the library? And the current possibility of something happening with a fundraiser that's current right now. And so
I'll make a motion to discuss.
we did.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that.
So,
Me too.
Slipping them in there.
just testing you, yeah. And
Are you wanting to discuss it generally or specifically?
I think we can do both at this point in time.
We might want to have an executive session for
Mhm.
specific discussion. I will motion we go into executive session for specific discussion.
Okay,
I'm second.
okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, guys. All right, call us back into session now. Start for me.
I did.
Oh,
That's wrong.
okay, wonderful. So, motion for us to come back into session?
So moved.
So moved by Mike, and a second by Kaylee. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, wonderful. All right, I'll entertain a motion to move the library fundraisers policy to policies and to bylaws committee. So moved.
Second.
Jen, second by Mike. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, wonderful. Move to policies and bylaws committee. Okay, all right, now we are going to move on to donation to Hendersonville Library. All of you should have received this as well. I will make a motion to open it for discussion. Kaylee?
Second.
A second by Mike. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, wonderful. So this is a donation. I just pulled it here. You all should have a copy of it. And so this was, of course, everything is trying to look fine. Okay, so
this is a donation that was given to Hendersonville, through a will. And I wanted to basically bring it about as for people to be aware of this. I did not become aware of this until in October, and it definitely wasn't news to me that there was a donation for, I think it's $320,840. And this, per the will of Ms. Shirley Vick. And I have asked David Walling for any information. I do know that Shannon is on the budget committee and has known about this for some time. And so I just wanted to make everybody aware of this. The commission has not accepted the money at this point, which is, to me, strange. Unfortunately, Ms. Phipps passed away about 2 years ago, I think it was, about two and a half years ago. And so the $320,000, to my knowledge, would be great for the Hendersonville Library. I know that there's some problems, so I'd actually like to suspend the rules and ask Alicia some questions. So a motion.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Just wanted to, and when I asked you, you weren't aware of this either, when I first found out about it. $320,000, just curious, what are some things that you feel that the Hendersonville Library can benefit from that?
And the community seems to be really on board with the whole makerspace benefits and things like that. I think finding a way to use the money that benefits the community by utilizing the library system.
I remember speaking with you at one point in time during the budget, something about, because I know that the building, the carpet might need to be replaced. I know that when Diane Dawson was on the board, that she talked about your HVAC system and how just insane that HVAC system is.
So that just got replaced.
Oh, it did. Oh, okay. All right. Well, great.
Good.
I didn't even know about that. Mary told me comfort group out, Sumner County maintenance, and I got alerted that there was a crane in the parking lot, so that did so long.
Oh, okay. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so what I'm hearing is that $320,000 could definitely help with that mission.
Right. And there are some facility issues, but I'm not sure that could be what somebody was willing money for. So I just wanted to check that.
And I think it says to the Hendersonville Library, so I think it's whatever it is that you would feel use it. But anybody have any questions on this? Okay. All right. I'll float back into session. All right. Any other discussion on this?
Why has it not been accepted?
That's the question, yeah.
And what was the money left for? Like,
It was left from Martin Curtis Senior Library.
okay.
But it says, in my state, to the Hendersonville Public Library, it says Martin Curtis.
Right.
But that was the old building that it was in, but it's to the Hendersonville Public Library.
Okay. Just in general.
Yes.
Okay. For no necessary purpose, just you use it how you want to.
Yep,
Okay.
there's no
Wow.
restrictions around it.
Okay. I didn't mean to interrupt your question, but why has it not been accepted?
I found out about it in June this year. And there has been some discussion in finance about it. And due to the large of the bequest, I have been doing research on how to handle that, so that it is not. Yes. So I budget voted to make me the liaison to the Friends group in regards to that money, to talk to them, talk to the Henderson Library. I have not had the time to do that because of their book sale. So, I just made it to happen. We voted to remove it from the agenda. It's in a restricted fund at the county. It cannot be spent. It's not going anywhere. And I think there will have to be a mechanism put in place for it to come to the budget, to be passed out of the budget, to keep it in safekeeping. And now is just not the time.
When do we anticipate it at the bank?
Commission, but we haven't accepted it.
So what's the mechanism needed for it to be released for the library's use?
We are doing research for that.
Okay.
To my knowledge, I think Jen Officer legislative has to accept it, do the commissioners have to accept it?
Budget, accept all requests, budget, and send it to county commission.
Okay. So it goes to budget first, accepts it.
Yes, and I don't think it will be a problem once it is wrapped up in a nice package to the budget.
And what are the particulars of the research? Like what kinds of things are y'all researching?
Trust, putting
Okay.
it in a trust. It will need to earn its own interest. It will need to be managed.
Okay.
Those are some of the things that I have looked into.
Okay.
So when it is ready to have a report, the budget, it will be discussed in budget.
And one of our county attorneys can set that up, the trust?
I have no idea.
Okay, that's one thing you're looking
Yes,
into.
we aren't there yet.
Okay.
That's why I removed it from the agenda.
Okay, gotcha. So there's no time frame of,
No, it's safe. It's safe. It's not going anywhere.
all right.
It's safe, but it's not being used for what its intended purpose. And we have a library that is going without while budget issue languishes in committee, for 2 years now, yeah? Over 2 years?
Well, it's
No,
been since June.
no.
It's-
Well,
No,
the county law director accepted the check, and it has been in a restricted fund since he accepted the check.
Which is what?
I don't recall. So budget will take care of it.
Are we
Your
talking
county
6 months,
commission will take
16
care of
months, 20, we don't know.
I
Okay.
don't know.
All right.
I don't have those specifics.
Yeah. I can't imagine that this would be seen as acceptable if it was any other library. Yeah.
Any other library system or any
Any of our
library?
other libraries, I think, there might be deference given, maybe a little more speedy course of action.
Based on what?
People's preferences and grudges.
On the commission?
Probably. I mean, well, that's where it is now, so.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
I don't see any of our commissioners doing that.
Okay.
Being like that.
Yeah.
Well, it's,
Disappointing.
yeah, disappointing because it's money that's been there for some time now, because according to David Long, it's been there for a few years. And then also, I know that Hendersonville manages a budget of almost $1 million. And, that's something, so obviously $320,000 is not something that is outside of the scope of managing. If they manage it, it's almost $1 million. And then also, to my knowledge, because I did research as well, is that, to my knowledge, it has to be accepted by the commission in order for the budget to even do anything. So, it's just, with other things happening with wills, I'm just surprised it's taken 2 years to come to fruition. And, as you found out about it in June, I'm just surprised that you didn't bring it to us as a library board and say, hey, just so you know, there's a donation out there for the Hendersonville Library. I guess in communication, it would have been nice.
It takes time to gather all of these.
Well, just being notified that there's actually a donation floating out there, it would have been nice as a board just to be aware of that, so.
I can say too that, you know, I feel sorry for Shirley Phipps because I can only imagine she was a major, supporter of libraries and so, I mean, I hope our commission I would encourage and fight for any of our libraries to get the money that somebody,
Absolutely.
if they left $10 million to Westmoreland, I'd be celebrating for Westmoreland over there, because that person has an intention for that location to pour into them. And so it's sad to me that a person's intention is being held up. And I mean, I really do, I hope that it will process pretty quickly, because I do show up at the commissioner meeting, so I do hear where other things get held up for a long time. I really hope that Ms. Phipps' intentions get carried out soon. Not for a particular person, but for our libraries. I mean, like who that was intended for this time. So, because I've seen great things, and I get to hear things that Gabby's gotten to share of things that were left and big improvements made because of it. It's precious when these people leave their hard-earned money to a particular place because their heart is there. So,
And, you know, I no disrespect to Friends, because Friends are amazing. She specifically says to leave it to the library. And I know that I would want to respect the wishes of Lisa, so.
Well, I don't think there's any way to do anything different. That's what the will said. So it goes to the library.
Yeah.
As far as I know, I don't know what the will said, but if that's what it said,
It says,
I don't really have any choice.
no public library.
It should be in the supplemental.
Yeah.
It's in the supplemental, Sumner County website.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, well, there's nothing we can do. It was more of a bringing it to the attention, and so moving on. Okay, so, we are now going to move on to director evaluation. Alicia, Anita, Amy, and Gabby, and, you guys ready? I'm gonna call for an executive session before we start the evaluation.
Okay.
So, all right, so motion to go into executive session. Second? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? It was Haley and Mike, right?
Yes.
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 I brought headphones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mike's not back yet.
Oh, sorry. I thought you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
I'm here, Mike. Just being honest here.
Bring snacks next time.
take a little salt.
That's
It didn't really sugar packet. Water.
There he is.
All right,
Nice to know the ladies first.
Okay, so I'm gonna bring us back into session, and we are now on to director evaluations, and first director evaluation is Alicia Neighbors. All of you received her evaluation in an email. I will open up for discussion. Motion to open up for discussion. So moved.
Second.
Second by Mike. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, all right. I don't have any problem with this. I move to accept it.
So moved.
Second was Haley. Yes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. All right. Next one is Anita Lambert. All right, I make a motion to open it for discussion.
So moved.
Jim, second. Second by Mike. All in favor, say aye. Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Any questions about the evaluation?
Move to accept.
Okay, second by Shannon, second by Shannon, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, any abstentions? All right. All my people are here. Okay, next one will be Amy Corbett. I will open up this for discussion. So moved.
Second.
Who was that? Sorry, Haley, Mike. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No? All right, and so open up for discussion.
Just so you guys know, if you're gonna, what you can do is you can have a motion to approve, and you can discuss after that, or motion to reject, or whatever you need to do without having to do the motion to discuss every time, just so you guys are aware.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we have Amy's evaluation here, and, so do you have any questions on this? All right, well, I'll move to accept.
I'll second.
I was gonna ask a question.
We haven't called the question.
No, it's fine. There's a motion to approve it in a second, and now it's open for discussion.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you need anything?
Well, I'm just wondering where we are in the process. Move to accept to motion.
There's been a motion to
Made
approve
second.
and the second to accept, and
Discuss that
the discussion's on the motion, yes.
on the motion.
On the motion.
On the motion.
It's fine. I mean, we can discuss it. It's
Okay.
relevant.
We're well into it.
The point I was trying to make was, say you have
I got you.
you can have a motion to accept, reject, or whatever, and then you can discuss without having to make a separate motion to discuss, is the point I was trying to make.
Okay, so my question here is a discussion that I had with Amy, about the board, everybody, and, I did try to ask her questions, but she chose not to answer them for me. So I was sent, some information by a previous employee, Holly Jo Cooper, and that when I asked Amy if she terminated anybody, she said no. And according to Holly, she feels that she was terminated. I did call Amy yesterday just to ask her opinion on this, and Amy refused to talk to me and said that she did not want to answer any of my questions and only wanted to answer them in front of the board. So that's you all have seen that email. So, I was taken back that she wouldn't answer a question for me when I was inquiring, and I wasn't trying to, I hadn't even sent everybody this information yet, because I was just trying to find out what it was. And her refusal to
to talk to me as a board member on this,
Sure.
was very surprising.
So if we want to talk to Amy about this, we would have to kill this motion to approve. Make a motion to suspend the rules, and then talk to Amy about this.
That I know of.
Okay. In that case, I'll call the question. Call for a vote on the motion to accept.
Okay.
Unless,
What are we accepting?
well, motion made and seconded to accept this.
And it stays on the floor. If we suspend the rules to ask questions, we can do that and come back to it.
Yes.
Okay. I'll make a motion, we suspend the rules.
Okay. So, I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Okay. So, Amy,
Hey, Amy, what's going on?
what's the question?
So the question is Joanna's description of the event's accurate?
I didn't refuse, I told her I was still more comfortable discussing this with everybody. We all know how conveying information from one source to another source, from email to phone, things get lost in translation, and I felt it was a much better idea for everybody to hear everything at the same time, so we're all on the same page, so there's a lot of transparency, because I feel like there's things going on that I don't know about, so I just wanted to make sure everybody knew everything that I knew.
So what do you know about this?
What's the question?
Well, the question is, so as it relates to Holly Cooper, I guess?
Okay. I'm sorry, there hasn't been a specific question asked, so I'm not sure what you want answered.
Okay. In the evaluation, we'd asked you if you'd ever terminated anybody. You said no, you accepted somebody's resignation. Paperwork that we now see shows that you said you terminated somebody.
Okay.
So I guess my question is, which is accurate? Was it your statement at the evaluation, or is it the paperwork you filled out and provided to the county?
It's paperwork from
I'm
Ms.
sorry.
Chalmers, to be clear.
Yes.
Point of order, please.
We're asking her.
This paperwork says discharge. I stand by what I said in my evaluation. I did not terminate with the information that I had. I accepted her resignation effective immediately. I reached out to some directors to get some opinions, because I've never been trained on how to fill out paperwork. And I felt that it would be falsifying government documents if I checked resignations that she didn't finish out her 2 weeks. And so I thought discharge was what I was supposed to put.
Okay.
In my record, I put accepted resignation effective immediately. I might not have used the correct terminology because, again, I've never been trained on this and I wasn't sure what the right words were. I was under a time crunch. I wasn't able to have her work the 2 weeks because there were a lot of mitigating circumstances coming up, and I did the best that I could.
Yeah. Plenty of opportunity to explain that to us in the evaluation, right?
But I didn't terminate her. That was the question, and I accepted her resignation effective immediately.
Yeah. But, memory serves, you're pretty adamant about, and there was a box for resignation and a box for, not termination.
Discharge.
Discharge. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't feel very forthright. Yeah.
I'm sorry that I feel that way. I filled out the form to the best of my ability. Since I didn't have her work the 2 weeks, I didn't feel it was accurate to check resignation, so I checked discharge.
But several times, no need to belabor it, but you said and stated you accepted her resignation. So resignation should be the thing that is reflected on that form.
And so as I said, as I understood it, since I didn't have her work her 2 weeks out, that felt like I would be falsifying government documents to put resignation because nobody has ever gone through this with me. And I did the best with the information I had, and so I felt that was the correct response.
Do you now understand that that's not the correct response?
I do now. Would you like me to update the paperwork? I'm more than happy to do that.
Would probably be best.
Okay, I can do that. I'm off tomorrow, but I'll get it taken care of on Friday.
At your leisure.
My question here is that Holly had sent you an email at the beginning of October, asking you to clarify why you chose discharge and why you chose to not hire her back. And to my knowledge, you haven't responded to her.
We've been told by Eric.
Gabby, I apologize that we're talking about Amy at this point.
She had mentioned in the email that I believe you're referencing that her start date was incorrect, and so I went and I got that corrected immediately, and I'm gonna be honest, I dropped the ball. Lots of things are happening, there's a lot going on, I make mistakes. It wasn't intentional, I did the best I could.
And my question here too is that on one of the papers it says resigned from position, but yet you chose discharge.
As I said earlier, just now, that since I didn't have her work the 2 weeks of the resignation, I did not think that was applicable because I was accepting it immediately, so I thought discharge was the correct response.
Okay. And you don't feel that someone filling out their 2 weeks resignation is not a termination?
I'm going to keep on giving you the same response. I didn't think that it was the correct response to check resignations, and from my understanding, I had no training on any of these papers, that was the most accurate response since I wasn't having her work for 2 weeks. I was unaware until you mentioned that there was any type of grievance to me yesterday that this was a problem. I filled out the paperwork to the best of my ability. I am going to rectify the problem. I will follow up with Holly when I come to work on Friday. How else can I help you?
Okay. And then one last question. Have you filled out paperwork for other employees that have quit or resigned?
Yes.
You have.
Yes.
So you have done this paperwork before?
I have the situation. I have them work their 2 weeks for the resignation, and so that's why I picked resignation. Since I was accepting her resignation immediately, I thought I was filling the forms out correctly. I now was stuck. I was resignation.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
I'm a little concerned of the, what appears to, because, I don't know, stonewalling or just not being cooperative when people call and ask questions. Well, if this were Friday, would we insist on waiting 2 months before getting answers to questions about personnel matters? If there wasn't a meeting happening today, what would your response be?
Friday wouldn't have been a problem. I was also very short-staffed and had a program running that I was having to pick up.
That's not the question.
That was why.
What I'm trying to say.
Oh, that's okay. I guess I want to make sure that if a board member has a question of any of the directors, that we're not delayed in the execution of our duties to wait, in this case, it's 2 days, I guess, or a day before we're able to engage and ask you questions. But if this incident happened this Friday, would we be expected to wait for answers until January at our next scheduled meeting?
As I was trying to say, no, because the situation would be different. I would be fully staffed. I would be able to take the time. I did not have time to speak with Joanna about this because the program had started. I was short-staffed. I was doing the absolute best that I could.
No, I appreciate that. That's not the reason you gave us. You said you wanted it to be transparent and public, and all that's fine. I guess you have that prerogative. But, so if this happens so it doesn't sound like it was because you were busy that you didn't want to talk to Joanna. You could have called her back, I guess, at the end of the day, or this morning, anytime before this. But if the situation were to happen on Friday, would you insist on waiting for a public meeting to answer any questions from the library board members?
And I don't mean this disrespectfully at all.
I'm sorry. Talking to Amy.
I don't mean this disrespectfully at all, but I stand by my decision to request to speak with this before the whole board. Since I knew the board was meeting, it seems like the best decision for myself and for the entire board because I thought it was important. I don't know if it had happened on Friday because it happened on Tuesday.
Right. So it's not your policy to not engage and answer the questions of the library board of trustees?
I don't believe I have ever not responded within the time frame.
I was simply inquiring and trying to find information. And yet, you chose to not speak with me, and you did say that I don't wish to talk to you about this. I want to be with the whole board. So
what I said is I was more comfortable if we spoke about it with the whole.
okay, all right. So make a motion to come back in session.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. All right. So, do we want to add, take away, or anything to the evaluation for Amy Corbett? In my personal opinion, I do believe this is more of a play on words. I asked if she terminated anybody. It's more of a play on words when she said she didn't. I asked if there was any grievances against her, and she said there wasn't, but she, obviously noticed that there was a grievance against her because she corrected part of it, but didn't do anything else, and I asked her if there was any grievances against her, and she said no. And then I'm not really confident that it's because in how she reacted that in actuality, if this was a Friday and if there wasn't something for another 2 months, that she would have actually answered my question, because it was just a question. So those are my concerns with Amy at this point in time.
Do the grievances of past employees carry that much weight?
It's not about it carrying weight. It's that I asked her a question and she said no.
She said, I am not comfortable.
No. What I'm saying is that I asked if there was a grievance against her ever, and she said no.
What constitutes?
Is the wording of
Current. What constitutes that?
Yes.
I didn't say current. I said a grievance.
But it matters.
Okay, well, it was a current grievance because it was in October.
And it was before, and it was current employee. No, we asked within the past year.
No.
It's in the rating series.
Mm-hmm.
I think, as I look at the evaluation, I think it'd be nice to find a place where, marking needs improvement in communication, would be appropriate. I don't see that in the evaluation. So if anybody else can find that, great. But then if it doesn't exist there.
In communication?
Or it could just be a comment. We expect clear, more transparent communication with the library board, timely, all those things.
What is timely? Is that designated?
How do you define timely?
If you call them after they're off work, should they wait till the next day? Do they need to respond to you when they are? Because when I contact them, I don't keep track of their records, and I'll say, "Are you at work?" And if you're at work, call. If you're not at work, don't call. That's what I'm asking. What is timely to you? If we are going to set a parameter of timely, what would be timely for you?
Yeah.
Because I don't feel like I need them to, if it were an emergency, I would say this is an emergency and I really need you to take care of it.
Right. I'm not sure we're an emergency response board, but timely that we don't find out about it after the evaluation, I think would be a good start. I think, as events unfold, keeping us abreast of that. I'm looking at the comments on page 3, and it goes right to it. Director Corbett shared she has not terminated any employee this year, but did have one resignation, which she accepted effective immediately. I think that's got to be stricken or changed anyway from the evaluation, because it seems that's different. And then I would just add, I think the expectation of the board should be queries are responded to, and not donated by the director.
Staff attorney may ask a question. If we change the verbiage on her job application from discharged to terminated, does that give this employee more leeway to sue the county?
For discharge to quit, you mean?
He's saying he doesn't want it to say what?
I'm not saying I want the paperwork changed at all.
No.
Oh, I thought you said you thought that needed to be
Yeah,
stricken.
this is,
And
his
the
evaluation
evaluation,
on
yeah.
page 3, her evaluation.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm aware.
Mm-hmm. So you're asking if changing this will allow us to be sued by the director?
By the
By the former
employee that has
Oh.
quit, because we're changing it. Essentially, if we change it in her evaluation, the verbiage in her evaluation, then we are changing the meaning of her personnel records. Do you understand what I'm saying, staff attorney?
The facts and circumstances of what happened would dictate whether or not someone would have a successful suit against the county. So I'm not sure that anything post hoc would be. I mean, anybody can sue the county.
Right.
I mean, we get sued for all sorts of ridiculous things, you know. So I mean, whether somebody sues or not is not what I'm answering here, but it'd be the facts and circumstances of which led up to the separation of employment.
So, Jim, what are you asking, you make an amendment, what are you asking to add to the evaluation? What are your thoughts? And, you know, and I believe, responding to a library board member, if you're asking a question, not to refuse to answer the question when asked. I think that's, again, I would refuse an answer. And I don't think that's appropriate. Yeah.
Professional.
Or professional.
It's not professional to refuse to answer someone's questions to clarify. It's not professional.
It's not
Professional.
It's not.
I want to clarify, that's what you mean. It is not professional to refuse to answer someone's questions.
When it is not professional to refuse to answer a question from a manager or someone who is over you, asking you for a question. So we as a board oversee her. So if my boss were to ask me a question, it would be professional to answer that question from my boss, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
Is there anything that you wish to amend or add to this invite? Maybe just put in the comments that termination question was asked, and there's unclear about whether or not termination actually happened, and then not answering the question from a board member, something like that.
And you're recommending taking that out of the evaluation?
Well, yeah, at this point, that's not true.
And an inaccurate statement?
The comment on page 3. And then, I don't know that we need to rewrite the evaluation. It's
Sure. Yeah.
recorded for posterity, if anybody has questions about what happened.
So you're saying
Page 3.
add comment, strike that,
Yes, ma'am.
add more explanation,
You don't have
That's
to add
strike.
anything.
just
You don't
strike
have
it?
another hour to add a comment.
Yeah.
Okay, just
Yeah.
strike it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And where is it at on page?
Page 3, comments,
Page 3.
bottom,
Okay.
under managing the staff.
I would move that we amend the evaluation with that stricken.
Okay. Page 3. Where is it at? I'm so sorry.
Bottom comments section, under managing the staff.
Okay. So strike that,
Strike the comments.
okay? Okay.
And, on page 3, under number 2, managing the staff, we had, I'm just bringing this up, but, we had marked the second, statement as a not applicable, or because it says when grievances are filed, there is a further explanation. I mean, I think, what I hear and what's being said, that wasn't clear if it is true that Holly requested clarification for why the wording was different, which she'll be fixing. But if I understand from looking at the paperwork, Holly, there was a grievance of trying to just clarify that wording and why it was marked differently on the paperwork. That doesn't sound like they're not applicable anymore.
Correct.
That sounds like that.
Was that paperwork signed by Holly?
It was an email sent to Amy.
So the paperwork that says discharged or whatever, was
Oh,
that
no.
signed by Holly? So Holly never really saw that.
Until she
Paperwork.
received her paperwork, correct.
Okay.
Okay. Well, so what would you propose for the grievances are filed there for this? I would say a 1 at this point in time, because it wasn't even brought up when it was asked if there was a grievance.
Agreed.
Agreed, okay.
Agreed.
All right. And then stricken from, she had not terminated employees this year. So that was stricken, correct?
Comment. Right.
Comment, okay. All right, are there any other things right now? Okay. It is getting pretty late, but, Amy does have her hand up. Do we want to suspend rules, or do we want to move on?
No.
Anybody want to suspend rules?
It won't matter. I'll make the motion to suspend.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'm just needing some clarification, so.
We did not.
Oh, I'm so sorry,
Okay, so, all right, so.
You gotta take the no vote. And the,
All in favor, all in favor, say aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody opposed?
Yeah.
Any abstention?
Opposed to what?
opposed to
The-
suspending the rules.
Suspending the rules. Okay. All right, motion goes. All right, and then, okay, so then, I will.
Can we go back to the motion that's on the floor
That's-
with the amendment?
I'm just about to do that.
Didn't
Going
vote
back to-
So moved.
on that yet?
I'll
So
make a motion.
Yes.
So, motion to accept, the evaluation as amended.
So moved.
So moved. All right.
I already did that.
That second?
The mic second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Huh?
Aye. Anybody opposed?
On,
The amendment.
All right, so the evaluation as amended.
I made a
has
motion
been-
to
has been
accept.
approved.
The motion was on the floor.
My question is, were the amendments amended on to the evaluation? Was there a vote for that before the vote to accept the evaluation
Okay.
as amended? That's my question.
yes.
On the
I
last
made the
page
motion.
of the evaluation, if there's a 1 or a 2, it has to be noted in there.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
I was having trouble following. Sorry.
All right, so, it's 1 or 2, so must be included, so, so should we put grievance, of Holly Cooper, is that her name? Holly, what's her name?
doing,
Oh, super.
does she want her name on a record like that? Can we just say,
Employee.
You
employee?
just employed, okay. The agreements of,
Well, it specifically says comment specific performances for development directives or goals for the next review period. So we're supposed to add that in there.
There's the
We
discussion
vote on
of
this
the
already?
explanation.
Did we already, I think we already voted on what we were
Yeah.
gonna do with this, what
I
you guys
think-
are gonna do with it, right? Is
yeah.
that not the case?
Mhm.
I mean, you've already moved, it's not,
Yeah.
still on
Yeah.
the floor.
Yeah.
We'll move on. So, okay, so. All right, I hear you. Okay, all right, so now we're moving on to Gabby. As far as, her evaluation,
I got one, I can do this.
make a motion to accept, I'll entertain a motion, to, what do you want us to do
So
now?
you can either accept it, reject it, whatever you wanna do, but once you make a motion in a second, and then you could discuss whatever, you
Okay,
can
to
discuss
make
the
a motion
evaluation
to
at that
approve,
point.
to approve Gabby's, I'll entertain a motion to approve Gabby's, director evaluation.
So moved.
Okay? Second by Mike, on favor say aye.
No, you
Oh, wait,
would
no, now
discuss.
discussion.
Yes.
Okay, now discussion, okay, sorry. All right, any discussion on this? Okay. All right, so no discussion, all in favor say aye, I guess no.
Aye.
Approve it?
Aye. Yes.
Aye. Anybody opposed? All right, any abstentions? Go ahead.
Abstain.
Abstain? Okay. I abstain as well. So 2 abstentions is Jen and Joanna. Okay?
Who was the first motion to approve the director evaluation? I had my.
Jim made the motion, right?
Okay.
And then
That's
Mike
what I
seconded.
thought.
Yeah.
And then Mike. Okay, all right. Treasurer's report, there's no treasurer's report because Cam is not able to be here today. Moving on to director's report, and we do have them all in our, we have these, so you guys can choose to say something or not say something, completely up to you, but we're moving on to Gallatin.
Little thing.
Sure.
This year, Trick or Treating on the Square broke records. We gave away over 1,100 gift bags. So we aren't even counting parents or siblings. So we're guessing we sell over 3,000 people that day, and our names are in their house now. So it's kind of, with the tags on our bags, it's just exciting. Our Main Street Festival, we had 5 different nonprofits and 2 authors set up outside of the library during Main Street Festival to get attention for just more resources that we have to offer. We have a little bit of bad-ish news. One of our biggest programs is inclusive rock painting. It happens during the day, so it's a lot of homeschool kids, a lot of people with learning disabilities, adults of all ages. And it's ending, and we're heartbroken because we don't have the staff to keep it up. But the good news is the lady that runs it, that has been helping us with it for 4 years now, is opening up a new day center for individuals like that. And we're just keeping the library there, so we're not losing them completely, but the rock painting is over, and it's just, I feel like our numbers are going to go down in a week because that was a big program. Parking lot update is in the packet. We had the meeting. I've done a little bit of homework. We talked to the law firms next door. We talked to the mayor. We talked to different commissioners that are on the board. There's going to be another meeting. Nothing has happened yet, but everybody's in agreement on what they want to happen, and pictures and stuff are in the packet. And then we had a mental health day where we had, I had to write them all down because I just wanted to tell you what great organizations came and shared their information. And we got to set up displays with books that applied to all of them. But we had volunteer behavioral health. We had a musical therapist from Ovation Music. We had 2 artists who offer classes free of charge at different organizations like the Shalom Zone and stuff like that for art therapy. president of the Tennessee Psychology Board. Rainbow Early Intervention, and two different authors in the Shalom Zone, all there that day. And we also did a yoga class that one of our newest employees taught, breathing, which we all need. And I think that's it. Okay.
Thank you, Gabby. Thank you, Gabby. Okay, Alicia, your attention bill.
So in the interest of time, the only thing I'm going to point out is last time that we met, we were at 40% inventory, we're now at 93%. So that's still good, and everything else you can have it. Okay. Budget stuff.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you. Millersville, Westmoreland, Lauren?
I don't have anything extra, so got your packet, and just got some upcoming stuff for the next year. Adding, so everything else was in the email.
Okay.
So we just
Wonderful, thank you. Amy, Millersville?
So on the tax, there's some red that are medical and dental is way over. There was an accounting error. So if you flip to the next page, I have gone ahead and I have put in an appropriations request to be added to the budget committee meetings for December. So I only have enough to cover 3 more pay periods. I would like a copy of my evaluation so I can make sure the paperwork that I send to finance for all these records are congruent with what is on the evaluation. I have also included all the metrics that I had for the personnel committee so that everybody could see those. I've included a copy of my resume just in case anybody has any questions. I've included a copy of our holiday calendar, which everybody is very, very excited about. We are just growing and doing fantastic things, and I can't wait for next month.
Thank you. Okay, and then next is Anita with Portland.
We find my packet and everything, there was one thing I wanted to point out, is the one, this one you guys have it. If you look on the front, there's a, costume guide down at the bottom, one standing beside a Darth Vader. Can anybody guess what the other kid is dressed up as? He came up with this on his own, I thought it was just amazing.
Oh, Velma Bubba's shoes.
Yes, you got it. Yeah. But he got one that was Velma Bubba. So this is kind of our Halloween spectacular. We had over 250 people come in the library that day. This was our 3rd annual, so we're already starting to do plans for our 4th annual. But yeah, we had 250 people, and we probably next year going to add a costume contest because all the kids came in with costumes, and even some of the adults came in with costumes and everything. So we think we're going to add that. I'm kind of like Amy. I added the calendar in there for our holiday calendar. We stayed pretty close to the county holiday calendar, except if there's a holiday that falls on a Monday, since we're closed already on Mondays, we normally take that Saturday off. So that's just using half of the comp time that you would normally get and everything. The one day that we are closed that nobody else is ever closed is the Strawberry Festival. We can't be open that day. There's no parking. It's by 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock that morning, our entire parking lot is full. Because we're within walking distance of downtown, and that's where everything is on. I've also included one thing that Cecilia kind of dinged me on. Having a technology plan, and I told her I did have a technology plan, but I guess I didn't realize that it does need to come before the board. I don't expect that to be approved tonight or anything. Maybe we can put it on another agenda or something, but I did include that just so that everybody have a copy of it and you can see what we're currently doing and what we're expecting to try to work on. Our budget numbers right now, they're probably just a few digits lower than what they need to be, but I always try to do less at the beginning of the year, so if I have any unexpected expenses or anything. So other than that, I always end by telling you guys what an absolutely best staff that we have in Portland. We have amazing friends in the library. Some of them are here tonight for me, and our patrons are just absolutely amazing too. So come by. Our silent auction is in this Saturday. If you haven't been there already, Jackie's got tons of bids on things. But
they're not big yet.
That's what I'm saying.
I'll be there tomorrow.
Come out busy.
All right.
Yeah, if you go in tomorrow, no, the stuff I bid on, you wouldn't be interested in. You wouldn't like it.
And Red River Original?
Okay, so I sent you the report, so everything is in there. I'll go quickly. I know you read it out. I did send you the standards report for each of the libraries this time. that is something that each library director fills out, usually in July, and it just kind of goes through kind of a checklist, like we're doing this, we're not doing this, and it's kind of a message to the board and to the libraries, like this is stuff that we need to work on. If you look at the reports, most of it is just a bunch of yeses. So I mean, you're doing really well. And like Nina said, that there are a few things that are popping up for me, and I think maybe as a board, because most of this is kind of board related, something to think about, like a long range plan is, I think, is something that you definitely need to start working on. I know you tried a couple of years ago, a lot has happened since then, but that is something I think would be a good idea for you guys to do. Having a technology plan, like Anita said, I think a lot of them already have it. It's just something to come before the board for you guys to see what they're doing. Some of these guys are really kind of tech forward. In our minds, Portland has always been ahead of the game in our region, so I'm very proud of that. But just having like a replacement schedule for all items is a good idea, and having goals for next year. The other thing I have listed here is an emergency plan. I think all libraries should have that. Just what happens if you have a flood, if there's a tornado come through, what happens with the collection, all that kind of stuff. And also possibly include some type of language in that says that the libraries are open if there's a disaster in the community. So that will be, but when you look through the reports, I think you'll find some stuff that you might find interesting.
Question about the emergency plan. I saw that in your packet about the in our libraries are open if there's a disaster. They have to wait for the county mayor to call them and tell them to close the library. So that was something that they would have to do in conjunction with the. Yeah, and then in your counties where you only have one library, does the EMA help with them with their emergency response, the emergency management? Do they come in as a local fire department, et cetera?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of part of what we would like to see, that there's like a collaboration between the county, so that when something does happen in the community, it's not something that you don't need to have to go to the county then and say, we're here for you if something happens. So I think just having that collaboration when you make the plan, and also when the county makes their plan, is a good idea.
So when you say open in the event of a disaster, or not a disaster, like how would you define that?
Really quickly. So sorry, Cecilia.
Yeah, I'm going to. So let's say what happened in East Tennessee a few years ago in the big fire. So a lot of those libraries open up then for the fire, for the crews to come in and use the computers, get some water, get some food, that kind of stuff.
Okay, all right.
So that's all I need.
Okay, thank you.
So that's basically, you can kind of look through that report and see if you find something interesting in there. But I think maybe putting some of this stuff on the agenda for the next year would be a good idea. So you already covered maintenance of effort. We have a training coming up next month for library directors, basically, maybe some assistant directors. But we think that would be a good one for you to come to. A lot of them showed up this week. I'm going to. So I think basically that's the big thing. Yeah, everything else is in there.
Awesome.
Email me.
I appreciate it. Yes, and so appreciate everyone being here. And I'm going to make this announcement before we adjourn that our maintenance guy is already an hour past his closing time, so there will be, as soon as we adjourn, we will have to leave the building. So I just want to make sure everybody's aware that you make your way out. Thank you so much. Motion to adjourn by Shannon, second by Jim. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions?
All of that.